This video brought to you in part by these fantastic sponsors.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome to the channel. And the hits don't stop every single day since like Wednesday. They have been putting out more and more information and stuff, and I kind of wanted to take today off of and level up my Lena, but unfortunately I woke up this morning, well I guess not unfortunately, but woke up this morning and I saw that the second part of the hero balance adjustments are out, and already everybody is saying that Spez honestly is the best character that E7 has to offer. Not going to go into the whole thing, but I will tell you why here shortly. But let's take a look at some of the things that are going on here now. One of the downsides that a lot of people are a little upset about is the fact that they are re-rolling back on their statement of buffing Kisei. Now, I don't know why. Maybe they need some more extra time to like kind of find some stuff out. Like they probably buffed her, played her, and then realized that buffing her would be like ridiculously overpowered. So we don't know really what they're going to do. They did say that they will include Kisei in the next balance adjustment after more reviews. So that's what I'm going to assume, is that they didn't find a good way to fully tune her without making her just stupidly overpowered. So we are going to get Tenebria, Dom, Rin, Specimen Says, Assassin Sid, Champ Zerato, Mursa, Arrowell, and Elson. And from the things that I've seen so far, Mursa is going to be absolutely amazing. Specimen Says is getting some pretty decent buffs here. So, but let's first up talk about Tenebria. Now, Dark Explosion has had its damage increased by 20% before. Now, Tenebria was pretty good, but wasn't seeing much in the way of gameplay or farming because, well, there were better. So this is going to help out quite a bit. Previously, Ominous Thunder summoned obviously Ominous Thunder to attack all enemies, decreasing combat readiness by 30%. Now it is going to decrease speed for 2 turns as well. So that's going to be pretty good. It's going to help slow down some of those speed boys. Nightmare before dropped a Moon of Nightmare on all enemies with an 85% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns. And increase the attack of the caster for 2 turns. It's going to do all of that again, except this time it's going to have a 75% chance to put them to sleep, which means the moon, it's nighttime, you go to sleep. So obviously makes sense. That's going to be an AoE sleep, which is going to be pretty solid. Not only that, but if you break defense and you increase your attack and you put them to sleep, that's going to be pretty amazing. Now, their explanation: Tenebria was originally planned to be a hero who overpowers her enemies by effectively using various debuffs and attacks. However, due to the fact that Tenebria had some limitations when she is active for long periods of times, we thought it was necessary to give her additional debuff effects for the early part of the battle. Through this balance adjustment, a powerful debuff that inflicts sleep on all enemies will be added to the skill Nightmare, which Tenebria can use in the early part of the battle. Players can utilize this debuff, decrease defense with the debuff, sleep, and use synergy to let Tenebria's allies attack the enemy after these debuffs have been inflicted in order to induce a critical hit. Although this doesn't actually increase critical hit at all. But that aside, I do think that this is going to be pretty good. The problem is that you are going to have to run her with a stripper of some sort ahead of time in order to strip off the immunity sets and or the DJ Basar immunity or any number of other immunities, Vivian immunity, stuff like that, in order to get that sleep and those debuffs on there. Now, Specimen Says, and this is the one that everybody has been excited for. Actually, they wanted him nerfed because they said he was overpowered in PvE, and they wanted him nerfed so that they could just get a 5-star selector. But your boy has him at triple S, so A+ on this. Now, previously, Evil Claws is S2, attacks all enemies with Evil Claws with a 30% chance to stun for 1 turn. Now, Evil Claws now attacks all enemies, but it has a 45% chance to stun for 1 turn. The only problem with this is that unless you're pushing them back, unless you are pushing him forward again to try to lap, you can't stun them with his skill and then follow up with his S3. if he would have gotten like the Judge Kisei treatment where soul burning his S2 would potentially stun and then follow up with the S3, then that would have been that would have been probably borderline overpowered, but it is pretty nice. It does increase his combat readiness by 50%, but that's still not enough to lap anyone. Now, I could see if you hit S2, get your combat readiness by 50, but you also have a second CR pusher. So like maybe start out with Oxlots and then do maybe like a DJ Basar or a Tamsaria or something like that, so that you push Sez to the front, stun some people, push him again so that he can S3 and then see where that goes. But I do think that, you know, pairing him up with some other stunners, and we have been getting a couple of people that can stun. The new Crozet is going to be able to stun. The new grass unit, Ainz, is going to be able to stun for 2 turns on his S3, so you could easily stun with Ainz, push Specimen Says, blow someone up, and then go from there. But we'll see how that goes. But they did fix his S3 previously. If they weren't stunned, it didn't really do that much. Now his S3 is really good. So he also has Extinction. This is kind of like Lilbet. And he is going to be a Vildred killer for sure. Now, previously, he would have to have them stunned to do any damage or any real defense penetrating damage. Man, it's like I'm never really super yawny and tired until I start recording. And then it's like, oh, hey, you're recording, have all of the yawns. But I actually probably could get more sleep too. But units have to be leveled, dogs have to be walked. So anyways, now it is going to penetrate defense by 30% initially or 100% when the enemy is stunned. So this is going to give you that 30%, basically 30% increased damage against, especially against like heavy damage defensive units. So this is going to be pretty good. A lot of times, like very defensive heavy units are also very slow. So hitting that S2 into that S3 could very well potentially push you forward enough to lap them and then come back through, Says S3 them, Ainz S3 them, Says S3 them again. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out and how he is built. I can see, I think he'll be built semi like Veldred, where you do still want a bit of speed on him. You don't want to be reliant specifically on CR pushers, but I do think that just having the extinction as well as the 30% defense pen is going to be a really, really big buff for him in terms of actually making him semi-usable. So it'll be interesting to see, and yeah, it'll like there'll be a lot more stunners. The problem is like running effect resist, immunity sets, stuff like that. You are going to have to run people that can strip all of those immunity sets off, because you can't stun if they're immune. So that's a bit of a pain there. So yeah, it does definitely increases his performance against non-stunned enemies, but Extinction is really good. There's a lot of characters that there's a lot of comps up in like Legend Champion, High Champion that just give me a pain in the butt, like Proof of Valor made Chloe team, which, she's just an absolute thick tank that just wrecks my face. But anyways, this more Extinction is good in my opinion, mostly because I don't have Rule or Maid Chloe. But regardless, let's talk about Dominel here. So Ice Spear, before it attacks all enemies with a large block of ice with a 50% chance to stun for 1 turn and decrease combat readiness by 30%. Now it has a 90% chance to stun for 1 turn and a 50% chance to decrease combat readiness by 30%. Now, this is going to be really big. You can use this with, oh, well, that's right, says, having a 90% chance to stun, and potentially running, she's a mage, so you could run Abyssal Crown on her. So you would be able to decrease combat readiness, have a 50% chance to decrease combat radius, 90% chance to stun, additional chance to stun on the Abyssal Crown if that doesn't hit. She seems like she would be very, very good to pair up with Sez and some sort of stripper right ahead of time. Maybe like a Basar, a Harado. Harado's been seeing a lot of play again just because plus 15 S3s. Or plus 15 3 stars is much easier. So having that Harado at the beginning, strip, push back, dom into somebody else, maybe a defense breaker, and then follow up with a Sez. Or you could have a very, very slow CR pusher, so they go after Sez. Then they can push Sez forward again. You can easily take 2 characters out. Maybe just make your Oxlots like preposterously slow so that he will go after Sez, so that you can push them back, kill one, they're stunned, you S3 with Sez, you S3 with Sez again. It would be kind of interesting to see how you could time all of that out in order to get that done. So the teams that I think are going to come out here soon are going to be really interesting for sure. So Rin is up next, and Rin is a character that I've always really enjoyed just because of the randomness of the character and the stacking ability that she can really snowball pretty quick. The problem is you never really see her in play at all. Moonlight Rin every once in a while, but regular Rin not so much. Previously, Ring Throw, 75% chance to dispel 1 buff, damage dealt increases to proportional to the caster's max health. Now, it's not only going to dispel 1 buff, but it's also going to increase your combat readiness by 15%. And it seems like they've been making a lot of changes where characters will increase their own combat readiness, which is pretty nice, especially if you're like trying to build them tanky, trying to build them slow, throw a counterattack set on them. Their S1's going to be doing stuff, increasing their combat readiness. That way you don't have to rely on like a Durandal or an Idol's Cheer on your Soul Weaver in order to push forward. Things like that. So this is definitely an interesting change. I do kind of like that. So Showtime previously healed all allies with an Elegant Dance, casting 1 random buff for 3 turns. Amount recovered and barrier strength are proportional to the target's max health. You could get increased attack, increased speed, critical hit chance, critical damage, defense, barrier, increased evasion, debuff, immunity. Now it's going to do all of the same things. Except it's going to take the barrier off of the initial thing. So you're going to have all allies, 1 random buff for 3 turns, amounts recovered to the target's max health. But you can get increased attack greater. The other ones, the barrier has been removed, like I said, but you can get continuous heal in here. Now, the big thing here is that increased attack greater, because increased attack greater is, well, it's greater than the other increased attacks. So that's going to be really, really solid. I'm definitely a big fan of that. Now, I don't know why they just made this the same thing. They seem to do this with a couple of things. So Showtime after Awakening heals all allies with the Elegant Dance, casting, oh, this is 2 random buffs. Okay, that's right. That's right. When it awakens, it's two random buffs. So you have an even better chance to get increased attack greater. Just imagine you get increased attack greater and increased critical hit damage. Oh god, that would be so good. That would be so good. Oh, so hot. But yeah, no, this is pretty interesting. I do remember when I was running her, I would run her with a tanky counterattack set so that, you know, she would be dispelling buffs on her S1, and just continuously doing stuff like that. So, and the damage dealt would be pretty hefty because I made her pretty beefy. So definitely will be interesting. So in addition to these changes, Rin's skill, Showtime skill, random buffs includes buffs continuous healing, however, has been omitted in her skill description. This will be corrected in the balance adjustment. Oh, okay, so you could get a continuous healing. It just wasn't in there. So what did they change? They took out increased speed, barrier, and put in greater attack. So okay, I mean that's not bad, I guess. So now any buff that Rin casts will satisfy the players. Okay, yeah, because I mean, increased speed was okay. I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind the barrier being back on the first one, but I guess if you get it to increase greater attack and continuous heal and a barrier, that would be pretty busted. So here's the one I'm interested in because I love Champ Zerato's whole aesthetic, his like feel, his everything about him. But when he came out, very, very, very lackluster. Was really kind of disappointed in a lot of his abilities. He was supposed to be the anti-debuffer, Sage Ball counter, and when he came out, people were like, yeah, not so much. Not so much. But previously, Earth and Rage attacked the enemy with an Earth and Blast, transferring 1 debuff from the caster to the enemy. Now attacks 2 enemies, including the target. So does that mean he attacks 3, or is it like Arbiter Vildred and Vildred where he attacks 2? So it's just the target plus a random one. It'll be interesting because it does say attacks 2 enemies attacks 2 enemies including the target. So yeah, it's probably going to be like that, because if he attacked 3, that'd be pretty busted. With an Earth and Blast transferring 2 debuffs from the caster to the enemy and recovering the caster's health. Amount recovered increases proportional to the caster's max health. So that's pretty solid. I mean, he literally has lifesteal on his S1, and he transfers 2 debuffs to the enemy. Now, that's going to make me wonder, do those debuffs transfer to both enemies or just one enemy? Because, I mean, I guess realistically, either way, that's going to be really, really solid to put 2 on there. So it's like, oh, can't buff and can't heal from getting hit with a Seaside Bell. Oh, guess what? Now 2 of you can't do that either. And I don't have that on me. So sucks to suck. So that is really, really sweet. Definitely a big fan of that one. Now, his second skill before Immune to Sleep and Stun, A+ right there. He did have a 100% chance to counterattack when attacked while debuffed. The problem was you just hit him with a decreased hit chance and can't really do too much there. So now Immune to Sleep, Stun, and decrease hit chance. He has a 100% chance to counterattack when the caster is debuffed after being attacked. So if he's debuffed after being attacked, so does it only trigger when he's debuffed after the attack, or is it the way that's worded? It sounds really weird, but I think it'll still be if he has a debuff on him and he is hit, he will then counterattack. Now, it'll be interesting to see if he's attacked and they put a debuff on him, like let's say Dizzy or something like that. Will he counterattack that attack? We never know. So before, we won't even look at the before part. Let's look at the Cataclysm after. Previously attacks all enemies by slamming rocks with a 75% chance each to decrease defense and attack for 2 turns. Now it's going to do the same thing, but it's going to increase the defense of the caster for 2 turns. Now I can see this dude being built like an absolute lifesteal bruiser, maybe with Champ Zerato is, I believe, a warrior, so you can run Sigurd's Scythe on him. Is he? Hold on, I'm going to check real quick while I read this. But let me read down here. Champ Zerato is a hero that can display his ability in situations where he has been inflicted with debuffs. Now we need a way to inflict himself with debuffs. That's something that we require. However, there is some difficulty in regards to Champ Zerato's ability to cope with debuffs due to the fact that mages... Oh, he is a mage. That's right. Due to the fact that mages lack survivability, it was very difficult to utilize him. With these changes, Champ Zerato will be improved in a variety of ways to ensure that he will be chosen by our heirs. I mean, I really liked him in the first place. Like I said, from his aesthetic, I do believe I have him 6-starred. Obviously, you can tell that I haven't used him too much, right? But regardless, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Champ Zarato's counterattack ability is an integral part of his kit and will be described in the improvements. And we will describe the improvements that will be implemented. Currently, Champ Zerato is granted immunity against sleep and stun, and he will also be granted immunity against decreased hit chance as well. Champ Zerato's kit made it beneficial for him to have debuffs inflicted upon him. However, the decreased hit chance debuff hindered his ability to successfully transfer these debuffs. As I said, if he misses on his S1, he would not transfer the debuffs. That's why they put that in there, because if you ever went up against one, easy, just debuff his hit chance. So yeah, he is a mage. What abilities? You could put a Necro and Undine on him. No, I don't think Time Matter would be that good. Maybe Abyssal Crown would be good since he's hitting multiple things. Abyssal Crown would probably be good. Or I mean, Caldra would be really good as well. Because you're going to be attacking debuffed enemies, chances are. So that would probably be the best bet on him. Increase that damage so that his lifesteal goes up a bit more. Well, it doesn't really work that way because recovering the caster's health amount, it increases proportional to the caster's max health. So it's not based off of damage. So, I mean, still Caldra's probably your best bet on him because you'd be doing a lot more damage. Or you could put Abyssal Crown on him, because I love Abyssal Crown and stuns on everybody, and then team him up with Spez. There you go. Champ Zerato Spez combo. But anyways, no, I do think that is going to be really good. You open up with Cataclysm, increasing your defense. That way you can eat cleaves, anything like that. Any follow-up, and then you will just be transferring debuffs, counterattacking, immune to pretty much everything. So that's pretty sweet. Now, Assassin Sid. This is pretty awesome. I actually just 6-starred him not too long ago because I literally love his whole aesthetic, feel, everything like that. And I'm actually really, really interested in how he's going to play out in RTA. I think RTA is going to be probably one of the biggest things, or if you make him ridiculously speedy, he can absolutely F over some massive teams. And people are going to have to work around this because in Arena, a lot of your strategies revolve around having somebody carrying a tags in order to soul burn. Pretty much every cleave team requires a tag heals for soul burning. So this is going to be pretty interesting if you can build him with the maximum amount of speed, and we'll get into that. So previously, his S1 had a 50% chance to poison. I liked poison. I like poison because it's a set amount. It's 5%, I think, or a certain percentage of hit points over bleeds or burns that are, attack based. So now it's going to be decreased defense, which I mean is good as well, because you can always use decreased defense on pretty much everything. And the more decreased defense chances you have, the better to blow up tanks. So it does make more sense too with the whole, well, I guess poison would actually make more sense with the whole assassin thing, but decrease defense to follow up and just literally kill things super hardcore is really good. Execution after awakening previously attacks the enemy with a powerful ground pound, silencing them for 1 turn and decreasing their combat readiness by 50%. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's and the enemy's speed, which is pretty good. If you hit the fastest dude, not only are you going to be doing more damage because of your speed, but because of their speed as well. Now, however, this is amazing. So attacks the enemy with a powerful ground pound, silencing them for 1 turn and decreasing their combat readiness by 50%, before increasing evasion chance of the caster for 2 turns. After that, you are going to be removing 20 souls from the opponent. So if you make your Assassin Sid super, super fast, you will not only, if it's on defense, you won't be attacking anybody specifically, but you will be negating any singular tag heals that they bring to the fight. Now, they can bring 2 max level tag heals in order to do that, but yeah, not too many people do that. So this could be a really good counter to cleave teams because, well, one, you can build him super fragile, super fast, because this is going to increase his evasion afterwards. So he's going to be slipping through. And not only that, it just literally F's your whole plan. So if your whole plan revolved around tag healing a Judge Kisei S2 into S3, well, guess what? You ain't got that no more. You definitely do not have that anymore. And one of the things too you could do is potentially put him in the second slot. So you would have a CR pusher, you would push him forward, push the rest of your team forward, so he would follow up, he'd reduce all the souls, and you would still have some fast people to potentially do other things, maybe like a dizzy, a stripper pushbacker, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how people use Assassin Sid, but I am really excited about this, and I think that he's going to be a strong pick in RTA. Especially if we can bring tags to RTA, this guy is going to be a guaranteed pick because that will just completely negate an artifact that the enemy has. And it's not like he's bad either. The decreased defense, going really, really fast, being a speedy boy. Not only that, but as things die, he gets increased to combat readiness and attack. And yeah, just super good, super good. I'm pretty excited about that. Not only that, but whoever's at the beginning or whoever you want to push back, silenced, 50% combat readiness decrease. So yeah, he's going to be a really, really strong pick moving forward. Arrowwell, literally nobody ever leveled her up. She was really, really bad. So we're going to see what they gave her. Previously, Shield Thrust attacked with a Sword and Shield with a 75% chance to dispel 1 buff. Damage dealt increased proportional to the caster's max health. Now it's going to dispel up to 2 buffs. So that's good. That's a good one. Previously, Escort granted a barrier for 2 turns to the ally with the lowest health at the beginning of the turn. Barrier strength increases proportional to the caster's max health. Now grants a barrier to the ally with the lowest health for 2 turns at the beginning of the battle. And each time the caster takes a turn, barrier strength increases proportional to the caster's max health. Now this is going to be pretty good. You can probably build her kind of like how I build Lilius right now, where she is just super tanky, super fast. She doesn't do much, but she's just there to be really, really annoying. This is really good because it does make your lowest health character a little bit more tanky. I believe this is like a budget Fallen Cecilia, so that's pretty nice. You don't get the AoE skill nullifier, but definitely seems like a pretty okay buff. I don't think that she's going to become a meta or anything like that, but yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'm not too big a fan of Arrowwell in the first place, but yeah. MRSA, however, I already saw people running MRSA to like legend, like top tier legend 1. And so whenever somebody says that they can't, get to anywhere in PvP without ML 5 stars, pay to win characters, I'm like, hey, look at this guy who did like MRSA, Falconeer, Query, Amont, and I think he swapped the last one in with multiple different characters, but that was like his core. Previously increased evasion when health was less than 50%. Effect is increased by an extra 30%. Increased evasion when health is less than 50%, effect is increased by 30%. So it was previously 20%, and then it would go up to 50%. Now it's just a flat 50%. With 50% chance to evade. 50-50 chance of hitting MRSA. After successfully evading, decreases the cooldown of the caster by 1 turn and increases speed for 2 turns. This is pretty boss. Put on a full plus 30 Moonlight Dreamblade, that's 56-70. Throw in a Fat Cat, that's 85% chance to evade and decreasing cooldowns every single time and increasing speed. this is going to be pretty amazing. I'm not going to lie. That she's already really good. She is on her way to 6-star to actually until Lena came out. She was going to be my next 6-star in the first place because she's pretty amazing. But yeah, so definitely right there. I mean, that's a 3-star that most people should have after a certain amount of time, because let's be real, moonlight summons are a lot of 3-stars. So it is actually really, really nice that they're showing love to some of these 3-star moonlight characters. Speaking of Elson, when the game first came out over here, Elson was pretty busted. You really didn't need too many other Soul Weavers when you could just get Elson for free out of the connections, and you can still get him for free out of the connections, I believe. So this is going to be really good for a lot of newer players. Now, previously, Meteor Shower had a 4-turn cooldown. Now it's going to have a 3-turn cooldown. Fantastic. White's protection previously increased attack and defense of all allies for 2 turns with strengthening magic and had a 5-turn cooldown. Now it's going to recover health and increase attack and defense of all allies for 2 turns, and the amount recovered increases proportional to the target's max health. So if you're running in with a bunch of tanky boys, guess what? It's going to be doing even more, and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. So this is really good. He's actually back, and way better than he was previously. He was really, really strong at the beginning. They nerfed him because he was too strong and people weren't even really caring too much about other Soul Weavers. And so they nerfed him a bit and kind of put him into obscurity. Now they're bringing him back, and this is going to be really, really good. I do believe that he's going to be a top tier healer buffer, especially with the increased attack and defense. That's going to be really, really good, because I mean, he fulfills a couple of roles into one thing. I mean, put him in a team with Amont and literally two other characters. Good luck ever healing them. Maybe make him kind of speedy, tanky, kind of just literally build him like Amont. And now you've got not only attack, defense, heals, immunity, debuff removal, heals, more heals, and two hefty damage dealers, 2 hefty bruisers. Just good luck. Put him in there with an Eaton, or a ML Crozet when he comes out. Good luck. It's the era of stall, boys. Era of stall. Put him in there with an Assassin Sid so they can't tags right out the gate. By the time they get 20 more souls, Assassin Sid's going to be going again. So it'll be interesting to see how these buffs change and shake up the meta. Really, really interested about that. I am looking forward to getting back all my Mologoras from my Corvus, mostly so that I can finish at plus 15 my Spez. So that's going to be, expect lots of Spez videos after the buffs as I play around with him and all of his stuff. But anyways, there you go, guys. There's the overall buffs, but bad move canceling the Kisei buff after announcing it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Really disagree with canceling the Kisei buff. She doesn't have a role outside of Wyvern, and you don't really want her there either, since you want to kill before the shield. Give her a role, guys. I mean, people use her S3 from what I understand. So, yeah. Do not add extinction on a nuker that have reset cooldown, penetrates defense. What is wrong with you? Wilbet does not have any of that, and she also has lower base attack with no crit chance added. Clearly, you did not learn how to balance a hero. I'm so mad when reading this. Do not extinction. Do not extinction. Kirudin, you are super, super bad. Super bad. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think about this. I'm actually really excited for Mursa. Mursa's going to be really good. She's really good now. Don't write off your 3-star Moonlight characters. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.